where brevity is paramount. Jesus. That's it. I am done. I am not telling lies for a living any longer. I need a new job. Guys, please. If any of you out there are hiring, please don't hesitate to contact me on
Hello, and welcome to episode 25 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's John Denton. With me, as always, Chet Roivas.
Wapan.
So, if you've not heard the podcast before, quick breakdown. We do 2 top 10 lists. Starting at 10, game we played the least this week. Number 1, the game we played the most. We go back and forth. Some call them dueling playlists. I call them that. But enough wittering from me. Let's go. Number 10, Chet.
Okay, right. My number 10 is Winehead on the Xbox 360. It's another Xbox Live indie game.
You're becoming the preeminent source on XBleak.
It's just because I downloaded so many and I'm trying to clear them out. And Winehead's another one I downloaded because I like the title, because it reminded me of Manhead from Bowfinger. That is supposed to be Scientology, where they wear those paper hats. Anyway, Winehead, there's a story, there's a cat, he's the president, he bans wine, there's riots, people find out that they can make their own wine by fermenting it in the head of dead birds. You play as a corkscrew, you're this corkscrew bouncing around the screen, and you have to bounce, like the default, if you don't press a button you just float to the bottom, so pressing it, you go up, it's the only button is A. And you have to float next to a bird's head to make it anxious, and then you make a glass of wine. And then it goes on to the next level, and there's a biscuit in your way that you have to avoid. After about a minute, there's 3 biscuits on the screen, and they're impossible to avoid, so you die. And then a caption comes up saying everyone got so depressed because they couldn't drink wine that they started drinking medical alcohol, like surgical spirit. Then there was a lightning strike, everyone got zapped by the lightning, and the entire human race was killed in a fire. All of this, that what I'm describing, took about probably less than 2 minutes. So when it came up at the end, do you want another go? No thanks.
I feel like am I in a dream right now?
No, I'll tell you what. I've made it sound 10 times more interesting. You're a bouncing corkscrew. You have to float next to a bird. Next level, there's a biscuit in your way. Avoid the biscuit. I mean, honestly, it's really crap. But the fact that they're restricted to 10 minutes, as I've spoken about many times before, 10 minutes for the demo, I can't imagine anyone shelling out after that.
80 points?
80 points. I bet it's not made a penny apart from the guy's mum.
Winehead.
Yeah.
Winehead. So my number 10 technically isn't my number 10, but it's one of these frustrating situations. It actually would be my number 1. It's Sleeping Dogs. But this is one of those strict embargoes where you signed your name and it's the law. So I can't really talk about it at all. Really frustrating, but I just want to say that next week, full lowdown review style on the show. Yeah, I like it. I don't care if that breaks the embargo. I think I can say that. Yeah. And I've said that before. But yeah, frustrating. So for next week, for the full lowdown, boom.
Cool. Hopefully I'll have it by then as well.
Sweet.
Okay, my number 9 is Car Washer, Summer of the Ninja on the Xbox 360. It is yet another Xbox Live indie game, the last on the list though, so this is it. Story, you're a kid, it's the summer holidays, he wants to become a ninja, he has no money, so he decides to open up his own car wash. It's simple, a car pulls up, you can stand on one of 4 sides of the car, you can direct either a sponge or a hose at the car, or you can point, you can point it in any direction, but you have to obviously aim it at the car, and you wash the car. But there's no gauge to tell you how clean the car is. You don't know when it's finished, so you just move around each side of the car, hose, sponge, over and over again, and then after about 2 minutes, I mean, it's a long-winded process. You get an animation of the guy in his car beeping his horn and tapping his watch like, hurry up, and you're like, okay, well, you just keep doing what you're doing. In the end, he drives off, and he doesn't give you any money. And then the same thing happens again, by which point the demo's over. Do you want to pay? Go fuck yourself. It's the longest 10 minutes I think I've ever spent in a game. 10 minutes that I'm never going to get back, and I feel it just doesn't work. It's horrible. Don't even investigate it. It's horrible.
Still, at least it's got hose in it.
Hose. You said it, boy.
Number 9, Slender. I went back to it. You know, Slender. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. This horror game.
It's on my list as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I went back to it and gave it another go, and I kind of worked out that the game crashing last time was actually my PC's fault rather than a deliberate design choice of the game, and managed to get a bit further, find a few more pieces of paper. I still think it's a little bit too obvious setup and then shock scare. I don't like that type of horror, really. It tends to be a bit more effective in a game because you're controlling it than it is in a film, where I just find it really cheap. But it's no doubt that it scares you, but then so does a fucking kid jumping out from round the corner if you're not expecting them. So, I like the fact that there's all these games coming out that people are making, small teams or just on their own, and trying to push boundaries in different ways with gaming horror, because gaming horror has kind of died a little bit on the consoles. So, it's such a powerful way to scare the fuck out of you, a video game, that I like the fact that these exist, but I didn't go as nuts for Slender as some.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Basically, I've played it 3 times and I've never seen anything. I've discovered a few of the same. I've discovered that blue truck. I've never discovered a page. One of the pages you're supposed
to.
Have you not? No. It's weird because people have been sort of talking about it as if it were a full game, and it's not. It's a nice idea, very, very well presented, and it's free. So if Google Slender game, if you've got a PC or a Mac, I'm sure it'll run it. There's all sorts of different settings you can choose for how sort of low res and fast you want to run it.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't take much grunt.
No, but I just you have to give it its due. I played it I played it in broad daylight with the sound down because it does put you on edge straight away. It is just a sort of very tense game, and you have to give it its due. But it's the kind of thing that it's the way that it's spread sort of virally and by word of mouth. Great, but it's getting to a point now where there's too much emphasis on it, and it's not. It never wanted that kind of attention.
Yeah.
It's tense, but I mean, 3 times I've spent 10 minutes plus each time just trudging along, not finding anything, going past the same trees. But it's tense. You have to give it its due, and if you have the means to play it, as most people do, go ahead.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out.
Yes, no doubt.
So it's you next, I think.
Yes, right? My number 8 is Zuma's Revenge on the Xbox 360. I think it's one of the summer XBLA games, part of that bundle. Or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it isn't, I'm not sure. But it's a sequel to Zuma, PopCap. So at first I wasn't that impressed. I just tried the demo, and there's all this stuff that seemed needless at first. There's a level up system where there are these animals on pillars and you can get faster shot speeds and bonus fruit appearing. Stuff that just seemed to be pointless. But in contrast to the Xbox Live indie games, the trial here was really lengthy. It was more like an iPhone game, in that they weren't shy about giving you loads of content, because in the process of giving you that content, you end up getting hooked, because that gameplay is pretty irresistible as far as I'm concerned. And by the end of it, I was like, this is easily. Didn't end up shelling out 800 points at the time, but I probably will. They've done some really neat things with the gameplay. You can jump between different lily pads and sort of splits the game in half. There's bosses now where you have to clear the balls in front so you can get a shot off on the bosses. So it's loads. It's typical PopCap. They've gone above and beyond what they needed to deliver, and it's really good, really polished, really lovely, really fun to play. And I had to go out as soon as I played it, so I didn't immediately shell out for it. I didn't even get to the end of the trial when I was playing it for probably 20 plus minutes. It's great. I think definitely if you like those kind of games, if you like PopCap games in general, this is just a terrific one.
Who doesn't like PopCap games?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sweet.
So, very good.
Yeah, good old PopCap poppers. I like them. No, not poppers. I don't like them. My number 8 is another game very similar to Slender. In fact, it's called SCP-087. Now, have you heard of SCP?
No.
It's this fake internet. I'm going to do a really poor job of explaining this. I've only learned about this in the past day. It's this fake kind of almost X-Files on the internet that exist, and they kind of purport to be real, but they're not. And each one's numbered. they're like paranormal cases that are completely fabricated. And 087 is, I think, the most famous one. It's this set of stairs in a high school, I think, that's behind a permanently locked door, and if you go into the stairs, they just go down forever. And terrible things happen as you descend these stairs. So these people made a game about it, and you just go down a very, very, very dark set of stairs for a long time, and the tension starts to ramp up, the sounds start to change, and then something fucked up will happen. It's different every time. The fucked up stuff that happens, you never know when it's going to come. It might come down 3 flights of stairs, it might come down 50, and it's really, really unpleasantly unnerving. It's probably more successful than Slender, because you're not trudging around looking for things. You're just going down these stairs, and you don't really want to be doing it. And the stuff that happens really is quite unpleasant and makes you just want to run out of the room. Is
it just a kaleidoscope? Is it just to scare you and then you keep walking, or does it kill you?
It kills you.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's no goal. You're going to die eventually, but it's different, and you never know when it's going to come. And sometimes it fakes you out, and it's not something that you're going to play more than twice, but it's worth experiencing. And if you've got the balls, turning the lights off, sticking the headphones on, and yeah, you'd have to be a pretty tough cookie not to be unnerved by it. It's a little bit, again, boo type thing, which does piss me off, but the atmosphere's there as well.
That sounds really good. I think that was my problem with Slender, was that I didn't really want to be pissing around trying to find something. I played that game because I heard it's meant to shake you up a bit, and I was walking around, I was like, come on then, give me something. I don't, that's not enough. Finding little pages stuck to trees or wherever they are is not enough. It wasn't enough for me to keep me playing it longer than the 10 minutes. That
but Slender,
really good.
When Slender does fuck you up, it does fuck you up. That just obviously didn't happen to you.
Yeah.
But this is more accomplished, I think.
Is it a browser game, or what is it?
No, it's the same sort of deal. Just Google it and you can download it.
Okay. That sounds really, really good.
It's pretty cool. I love all this stuff that I said before. The fact that all this stuff exists, and all these people are coming out with new ideas, and whether they fail or not, I just like the fact it's happening. It's such a contrast to the big console games, and I like the fact that they both exist in the same place.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, right, my number 7 is Quantum Conundrum. I think that's the title.
Oh yeah, I've been intrigued by this one.
Had you heard of it?
Yeah, isn't the person that made Portal.
Oh.
And she left.
Oh, what's her name? Swift?
Kim Swift.
Kim Swift, is that right?
Pretty sure. We always like to bring the knowledge on this podcast.
See, that's terrible. That makes perfect sense. And it's something I saw on the dashboard, and I hadn't heard anything about it. I'd not heard anything on Twitter. I hadn't read anything probably because the title is a bit forgettable. Quantum Conundrum. I'm not even 100% sure that that's the title when I played it earlier today.
It is.
I did the trial again. As I've said just about Zuma's Revenge, the trial was 10-15 minutes long because that's how long it needed to be. It's a luxury that the bigger budget games have. I'll stop saying that now. I must have repeated myself 100 times. But based on the trial, man, it looks so good. Obviously, now you've told me that Kim Swift's behind it. I was just going to say it owes a massive debt to Portal. The button layout's the same. The sort of the structure's the same. Unfortunately, the guy who talks to you over... who tells you what to do. He's like a voice in the sky. You can't help but be reminded of Cave Johnson in Portal 2.
Oh boy.
You can't compare the two. The dialogue is the serviceable dialogue, but the humour's really quite lame.
Right.
But the gameplay is great. There's kind of sort of a Bioshocky look. There's all these Victorian interiors and all this old furniture and stuff. But you're walking through this house, and there's probably 4 or 5 puzzles, I'd say, and you just learn how to use these 3 toy with 3 dimensions, so you can flip the world into the fluffy dimension and everything becomes light, the heavy dimension everything's heavy, and then you can slow time down as well. And on the basis of the trial, it's got that same satisfying, just the same loveliness and the same satisfaction you get from solving a Portal puzzle, albeit these weren't particularly difficult. But then Portal ones weren't either. They're always staring you in the face. You just need to take a bit of time. But I loved it. I really did love the trial. And 1,200 points, but it's on the strength of that trial. I'm 95% certain I'm going to go and pick it up later.
Interesting. See, what I was put off by is I heard a couple of people saying that some of the later puzzles were very finicky, whatever. Yeah. And what I love about Portal, I mean, I'm fundamentally stupid, as you know, so what I love about Portal is the humour and the story, and I can kind of get by with the puzzles. I admire them, but I'm thick as shit when it comes to stuff like that. I've got no spatial awareness. My sense of direction is terrible. So I struggle with Portal's puzzles. I do them. I did them all. I didn't need to use a guide or anything like that. But then you speak to other people and they're like, that was easy. And I'm like, man, that was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I've had that. People saying, I breezed through Portal 2. It was just a case of find a place to plant a portal. And I'm like, well, yeah, but a lot of the time I couldn't find that place, or I couldn't figure... Yeah, anyway. Yeah,
well, I've talked to Adam before, but I played some co-op on Portal 2 with my kid brother, and he would just walk into a room and just be like, pew, 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 and I'm like, well, I don't even understand. I didn't even think about looking up. And, yeah, it's just different brains, I think.
Yeah.
But, that's what put me off this game, because I thought if it's not got the stuff I like about Portal, and it has the stuff that... Not that I dislike, but that doesn't really click with the way my brain works in as much as it does for some people, then maybe I should miss out. But
I think
I might get the trial.
Yeah, I'll get the trial, because I think after 10-15 minutes you'll know full well if you want to continue with it. I didn't get stuck once. There were a couple of moments I was like, wow, clever. I like that, But they've geared it more towards children. It's got a kind of cartoony look to it. So I don't think it's going to get as tough as Portal occasionally did for idiots like us. But try the trial. Impressed. I think it's on PSN as well. I might be wrong, but
yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Very. I'm impressed big time. I think I'm almost certainly going to go and shell out for that later.
All right, I'll get a trial. I'll get a trial after this pod.
Nice.
See what I think.
Nice.
And then never to forget that I even said to do that.
Indeed.
My number 7 is a game called Agent Dash. It is an iPhone game, and the reason I played it is because, to be honest, I was looking for games to play for the podcast, and I went on a forum and people were talking about this. It was free. It's basically Temple Run, but you play as like a cartoony James Bond, and instead of tilting the thing, you swipe between 3 lanes, you're going down. And yeah, it's just the same shit, running into the screen, dodging stuff, jumping, tapping to shoot things. It's quite good. It has in-app purchases, but they're not so egregious as to spoil the game, and it was a good way to kill 10 minutes this morning. I'll probably play it again when I'm on a train or something. It's fine. It looks nice. It looks really nice.
But people are so taken with Temple Run. I don't quite understand the appeal there. I mean, it's fun. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's more people that don't really play.
I don't know.
Games,
a friend of mine who's like Diablo nut, Warcraft, Battlefield, he loves it, and he said that one of the only reasons he bought an iPad is so he could play Temple Run in HD, and I was like, what? Wow. You're a fucking nutcase.
I saw someone playing it on a tube once on an iPad. That's weird.
Why is that weird?
It was a packed tube, like rush hour tube, not just an empty tube.
Oh.
It's like, why would you want to get your fucking entire iPad out to play Temple Run?
Yeah.
It's hell.
Because people love it, clearly.
Yeah. Maybe it was your mate.
Maybe it was. I'll have to ask him. Okay, right, my number 6 is Pro Evolution Soccer 2013.
Cool, mine's later on the list, so yeah.
Were you just playing the demo?
Yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, I think I do too. I only had a couple of games. For me to enjoy a football game when playing against the computer, that's how you know that it's special. FIFA does it. This did it, and for the first time since probably back in the day, even the last one, I tried doing Master League on the last one. Much as I enjoyed it, I couldn't do it against the computer, and this was just... If you can measure the success of a football game, or any game, by how many times it caused you to... I must have done that 5 or 6 times per match, really just like... so engaged and like I was watching a real football match, which is FIFA at its best and Pro Evo back in the day now, and I can't wait for it. It's one thing did make me laugh though. I mean, they haven't got the budget that FIFA have, obviously, but when they go along at the beginning, they went along the British squad singing the national anthem, and they were all robotically going bah, 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 along to the tune. I was just like, that's just like real life. That's brilliant.
I suppose it is.
But yeah, it's so good. It feels so nice. it is going to be. I feel like I'm waiting for like a great boxing fight or something, because how that and FIFA are going to fare, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
I know. I keep playing it, expecting it to fall apart. It's like the next match that it'll fall apart and fuck me off, and the old Pro Evo demons will come out. But no, it just feels like I'm in so much control of what's happening. The moves that I can see in my head, I can execute like I used to be able to on PS2, but with all this added flair and nicer animation and new little trick moves, and the player faces are really good as well. And I'm really looking forward to the final version. And I've said it a few weeks in a row now, but yeah, what a ruck it's going to be, because I'm not banging on FIFA in the slightest, because that sounds fucking awesome too. But sweet.
I can't. I mean, I think when I reviewed the last Pro Evo and FIFA, and I said in a couple of years' time, if they keep, because Pro Evo has been getting better the last 2 years, and FIFA has, as far as I'm concerned, been getting better progressively. They're games that have gotten better. Mm-hmm. This year, I mean, like you're a winner regardless of which one you plump for, but it's gonna be so hard, because I'm gonna feel like I have to play. I'm not gonna want. If they're as good as they both appear to be now, how do you choose between them?
Yeah, I know, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Have to see how the online is, have to see... Yeah. I think I'll enjoy playing Pro Evo against a computer more than I would FIFA against a computer, because I've never really got on with FIFA's CPU AI, but there's always been amazing online stuff in FIFA, so we shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see, but I'll be hammering both of them for a while anyway.
Yeah, sure. Fantastically impressive. Good for them.
Yes. So is it me?
It's you. Sorry, yeah, it's you. Yeah.
So my number 6 is pretty stupid, but I've been playing it a lot, especially today. Have you played any of these little games at the top of Google?
No.
Since there was one yesterday which was hurdles, and now today's a basketball game, and they're really simple, 1-button, 2-button games, but they have high scores, and then you get awarded a bronze, silver, or gold. It's actually one medal, 2 medals, or 3 medals, depending on how high your score is. So obviously, instead of doing all the work I'm supposed to be doing, I've been doing that and competing with different mates, trying to beat the high score. The basketball one's really simple. You just press space to load up your shot, let go, and then after 4 baskets, you'll take a step back, and then so you have to charge up the shot a bit longer. And we were getting to the point where if you if you missed, even if you hit the rim as your shot went in, you'd fucked up your round. You had to hit every shot as a swish to get the scores that we were getting. Fucking hell. I just feel ashamed of myself. But I'm looking forward to seeing what tomorrow's one is, and I think they might be doing one for every event or something.
So if you go, it's just at the top of Google?
Yeah, you know how they changed the logo the whole time? This one's got a play symbol in it. You just click the play and then you can play.
Shit, I'll have a look.
It's like when they did Pac-Man in the logo and shit.
I don't think I ever saw that.
No, that was clean. But these are fun. Super simple. The type of idiotic simplicity that ends up taking up far more time than something that's been made for 100 million times more.
Yeah. Okay, worth a look.
Yeah, but if people don't know they're there, have a razz and get fired.
Yeah. Okay, right, my number 5 is SSX. I just downloaded the new patch, which is...
Free rider multiplayer, yeah?
Yes.
Sweet.
They delivered it beautifully. I love the way they delivered it. Rather than, every time you download a patch, either you have to go online to find out what exactly the patch is, or there'll be some kind of text-speak heavy brief thing. Here, when you start the game, you get a lovely... I mean, I love SSX anyway. But there's just such a lovely letter where it sort of, in very, very simple terms, tells you what they've changed, what the new modes are, what you can do in the new modes, and it's just... I love that. I love that. That speaks volumes about the game, and that's one of the reasons I love it. It has that laid-back kind of just affableness about it. I didn't do free... What was it? Free play?
Free ride, I think.
Free ride, that's called, yeah. I did a multiplayer game, though. It's basically what you expect it to be, but time's a factor as well. They're all races, but there's also a time limit. So if you're both dicking around, you could potentially not finish and lose any funds that you've paid to get into the race.
Right.
But you can choose hyper, standard, or relaxed, the time limit. So you can just rack up scores and piss around if you want to do that. I think it's something. I had a game against a guy whose avatar picture was the SSX logo, so I didn't do particularly well against him. But I think it's the kind of thing that if my friends pick up SSX, and some of them have said that they're going to at some point, that's something that I'll definitely do with them. But it kind of killed. I don't like the great thing about SSX is that whole that guy could have sent me a message. I could have beat him. He could have sent me a message saying "Go fuck your mother" or something. He didn't do that. But the fact that the opportunities there kind of takes something away. I like competing against invisible masses, and I love that. And I love signing in. You've got funds, and you see where you place, and all that stuff. It's so great, and I hope it inspires other games. I really do. So being in that kind of stressful direct competition with someone doesn't really suit SSX as this game sees it. As far as I think that it sees it anyway. Yeah, I'm glad they've added it, and it's free, of course, which is great. And if my friends get it, definitely. But it's added a layer on top that I'm not really going to take. But you're free to take or leave it. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of bad stories about EA. Obviously, it happens all the time. But they don't get a lot of good press when they do something like that, dropping a nice free update on a 6-month-old game, 7-month-old game,
February, March,
something like that.
Yeah,
and doing a fucking good job. So credit where it's due.
It's great.
I could have easily charged 400 points for that.
Potentially even 800.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so good on them.
Yes.
Right, my number 5 is weirdly Gears of War 2.
Oh, why?
I'm writing a feature for a publication about these games, about Gears of War series. So I went back and Gears 3 was really fresh. So I went for Gears of War 2 and I played more of Gears 1, which is after. Spoiler. It's tough to know what to say. I'm a big Gears of War fan, hence probably me being selected to write said feature. But going back to Gears 2, it still looks fucking good. I was really impressed with how nice it looks. I did the level where you're inside the worm, which was quite disgusting in many ways. I
thought that was the shittest part of the game. That.
Yeah, it just happened to be the bit that my save file was on.
Oh.
But so it's kind of hard to say too much about Gears 2 because it's kind of like, they fucked up the multiplayer and it ended up being alright like a year later or something like that. And the campaign first time through I thought was spectacular, but I think it's probably the least replayable Gears because it was more about set piece and scope and spectacle than skirmishes that you want to replay and have different tactics in. So I think Gears 2 will end up being the one that it's not going to be the Empire Strikes Back of the Gears trilogy. I think it's going to be the one that's kind of forgotten about. But still, I was very impressed how a 3 or 4-year-old game looked.
Yeah,
it still looked fucking good. A lot better than most games that come out now.
Yeah. Gears 2 was I never could quite understand it, but it's the one of the 3 Gears games that me and my friends played the least. We kind of got fed up with it very, very quickly, which was unusual. Well, not quickly. I mean, we played it for weeks and weeks, but it lost its appeal quite fast. But
it had all those problems with lag, didn't it, after the first update?
It really did. Yeah, but still a great game. I doubt I'll ever revisit it because I do remember, as you said, it was very set piece heavy, and it was not. I don't even remember Gears 3, Gears 1. There's bits I remember. The only one I can remember from Gears 2 is that shit bit when you're inside the worm and it just murky and it looked like I don't remember anything specific. There's
a lot of stuff underground and there's a bit on rafts. There's some really cool action moments, but they're more wow, this looks amazing rather than something like in Vanquish where it's all about how it plays. So I don't think I will go through Gears 2 again, but it was nice to pay a little visit and say hello.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, right, my number 4 is Slender. We've done it. If you just get it, if you've got a PC or a Mac, have a look.
Have a look, and why not? Have a look for other shit that's like that. It's quite easy to find. There's so much stuff out there, horror and beyond. So much cool indie stuff, and so much of it is free. And if you ever want, us to talk about it for whatever reason, you might want us to do that. Then just drop it on our Facebook. You can find it on Facebook. Just type in Chet and John. It's easy. Or fucking just Twitter us or something. You know how to use a computer.
I will say though, if you are looking to be scared and you do like the sound of it, don't go onto YouTube, because there's people playing it everywhere. People have filmed themselves playing it and getting scared shitless and whatever, but that will spoil its only tricks, so swerve those.
Yeah, definitely do. Especially as it's free.
Genuine.
So, as I said, my number 4 is Gears 1. Gears 1 is an amazing game, really. I think it's so underrated. I mean, I know at the time it got huge review scores, and I lobbied for it to get a 10 out of 10 in Games TM with certain members of the team. But it's kind of one of those games that is often lambasted as the kind of nadir of good taste and quality writing and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, in terms of how it's written, it's the clunkiest of the three by far. Just going back to it, you're like, that dialogue's pretty fucking shit. But I've always had a soft spot for the characters, the lunk-headed idiots that they are, because I know who they are, and their motivations are pretty simple. We've got to fucking shoot everything, and we're really suitable for that task because we've got loads of steroids and big guns. And some of them say loud things that are quite funny. And I've always, this is a game about slamming into walls and shooting monsters. It's not really trying to be anything more than that. Especially the first one, it didn't really try to be anything other than what it is. And I've always thought it was unfairly slated with it, because always think about games like Fracture or truly shit, boring, generic characters that might as well not exist. And Gears is always the one that's picked on by critics, and I think unfairly. I'm not trying to say that it's anything special in that respect, but who doesn't like Coltrane? He's alright. And just looking back on how it was designed, almost like a platformer from above, the way you sling yourself between cover, that's much more prevalent in the first game than in 2 and 3. That hadn't really been done before. There's other games with cover in, I know, but I can understand how they wanted to make this blend of Kill Switch and Resi 4, and then with all the co-op and everything, they made a fucking incredible game, and it changed the way that genre is now, and it changed the way even other genres are, that they had to suddenly feel like they needed to incorporate cover and guns as much as anything else. But no, I don't think anyone's really managed to capture the AI, the skirmishes, the kind of flanking mechanics of Gears, the chunky, gristly combat. Vanquish is a better shooter, and you could call it a cover shooter technically, but they're so different, I don't think it's even worth comparing them. But I don't think any other cover shooter has ever managed to quite hit the heights of that series.
If you can call the second Drake Uncharted game a cover-based shooter, and I suppose you could.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I'd say that's superior to Gears.
Oh, I disagree massively on that one. But I don't like the shooting parts of those games at all, really. But I'm a fucking Gears head. Give me my bandana and a fucking hot dog. I don't know.
Yeah, I do love Gears. Wasn't the Gears of War, the first one was co-op, was it?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah, they're all co-op.
Yeah, because I remember, I'm pretty... Because I had a minute there, I couldn't remember, but that's still... When you play those in co-op, technically, they're the most faultless co-op games I've ever played. And they're still impressive, because I remember when the first one... I'm sure... Was it the first one was definitely co-op, was it?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Seeing all that spectacle and all that, such a big game, but doing it in co-op, because prior to that, I remember, I'm pretty sure it was before that, Halo 3 came out with that busted co-op.
Yeah, it had 4-player co-op, which is a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it?
Didn't work. And to see a game like that, and it's continued to flourish. We played 4-player Gears of War 3, faultless.
Yeah. And the game is designed for that as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even really compromise the single player. It's fantastic stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I always feel like I'm defending that series. And most people actually think that it's pretty good. I think it's just, if you write as a writer, you write and you think of the easy thing to say, a bit tired or whatever. It's always the easy go-to point. I've probably done it myself.
Yes, okay, right. My number 3 is Saints Row the Third.
You told me that you finished it, but you didn't want to say what happened or something.
I wasn't going to spoil anything, but I don't think it does spoil anything. I got to the end, and there's 2 endings, and you're basically encouraged to play both. You make a choice, and then you can go straight back and play through the other the other bit. They didn't disappoint. One ending involved a sort of Independence Day style invasion. The other one took place on the surface of Mars.
Awesome.
And I love that game so much. I really, really do. I mean, a lot of people at the time sort of, like they did with the Lollipop Chainsaw, tried to insinuate that it was somehow down market or, you know, aimed at prepubescent, you know, always that stuff that people want to believe that it's geared at, you know, hormonal 13-year-old twats. And it's not. It's so much smarter than that. And I can't remember the last time I got to the end of a game and the credits rolled and I just sat there and watched them. Admittedly, there was pictures of photographs of the team, which I found really interesting. But I put my pad down and I was like, respect. I really admire what they've done. I had such fun playing that game. And it was nice to see a real spread of different people. Watching the photographs of all the team that created it going, a real spread of people, although perhaps inevitably not a lot of women there. But really interesting to see such a wide spread of people, and I love it. It takes everything that could potentially be annoying about Grand Theft Auto and throws it out the window. There's nothing annoying about it. It's just a fun game. You know, there's things in Grand Theft Auto that are brilliant, like, you know, if you hit a car, if a police is in the vicinity, he'll come after you, and that's annoying because the sandbox is always there and you're always thinking, I want to kind of play around a bit, but things like that in Grand Theft Auto force you to sort of keep a low profile. They make you feel like a criminal. In this, there's none of that stuff. It's if you can go and cause havoc because you fancy it, run into a shop that you own next door, walk out and everyone's just wandering there, you know, looking in the sky like nothing's happened and your thing's gone down. I mean, and if you like slapstick comedy, it's an endless supply of slapstick. Honestly, I've laughed so much just because you just see dumb shit happening all the time.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get it again and give it another go.
I recommend it so highly. I love it. Whether they'll fuck it up with the next one or whether they'll make another belting game, I don't know. But perfect for me. But the first one was good. The second one I didn't warm to, but this was just great. I mean, really great.
Yeah. Like I said last week, I think you sold me on it again. I need to go back to it.
Sweet. I think that's good.
Yes. So my number 3 is PES. We talked about it. Get a demo if you're into football games and see what you think. You know, there's plenty of time for it comes out, but I heartily recommend it.
Are they going to bring out a Wii one again? That weird Sabutio style thing with the...
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, Wii U will be out by then, or close to.
Oh, yeah. We hope.
So I don't know what's going on there.
I always quite liked the Wii one. I thought it was a nice idea.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's clever. But, yeah. PES. Yep. Get it. Check it out.
Number 2 is Battlefield 3.
Battlefield 3.
Battlefield 3, yeah. You played it?
Not this week.
Yeah, it's good.
I didn't do that this week.
Battlefield 3 is a first-person shooter from a company... Anyway, listen. It's still great. What I've noticed playing it recently is that the same transition that me and my friends made from Rush to Conquest is exactly the same. More or less the time frame's the same as it was with Bad Company 2. Basically... as soon as Bad Company 2 came out and when Battlefield 3 came out, all we have done is play Rush at non-stop. Don't know why anyone would play any other mode apart from Rush. And just under a year in, which is what happened with Bad Company 2, we're now starting to... The people that play Rush are just getting too fierce. We're encountering too many people who are just like too good. It's just like, I'm not getting any enjoyment out of this.
Right.
Little clans of 100 ranked colonels. I'm just like, it's too much. So we've had such a run that the other day we had Conquest and we were like, fuck, Conquest, why haven't we been playing it? It's a lot easier on you. You know, Rush, if you have a bad team, you either fail or succeed, whereas you can still make a difference in Conquest. So I think that now that Rush is sort of seems to be taken up primarily by hardcore people, it's nice to realise that there's a whole other game because Conquest is very different. But yeah, it's interesting that, you know, when I picked up Battlefield 3, I went into Rush and then was like, why the hell have we been playing Conquest all this time? But I think it must have something to do with the players and how serious they are. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that's a completely pointless observation I've made. And Battlefield 3, play it, why not?
Baz, you like it, don't you?
I'm a little bit partial, you could say it, Ed.
So my number 2 is Binary Domain. As I said, I finished it. It kind of lost me a little bit towards the middle act, but it picked back up again towards the end and ended up thoroughly enjoying the rest of it. And then what I didn't realise is that depending on how you interact with the other characters, because you can do the voice stuff, can't you?
Yeah.
I had it on PS3, so I couldn't find that mini headset that we bought about 4,000 years ago, so I ended up having to do it with the joypad. Yeah. But how you interact and their relationship to you determines what happens in the ending, almost Mass Effect style. So I had my own ending, which was good, and it felt like a proper written ending. And then I spoke to someone else that I know about the game, and I said, "Yeah, but what happened to this guy?" And he was just like, "Oh yeah, no, check the other endings on YouTube." So I was like, "What?" So I went on Yui, and then he was there. He survived, whereas he died in my game. So that was kind of cool. I didn't know that was the case, and a thoroughly entertaining shooter that I'm glad that I played, but don't go as nuts for as some.
Yeah, people are. A lot of people are taking a stand about that game and making a point about, that they'll. I'm sure they know they're going a little bit overboard, because you see quotes, people talking about it on Twitter, and you're just like, I'm sure you're overegging it. I mean, you must know you're overdoing it. It's a very, very good shooter, really, really expertly written and stuff, but I think you're, again, ignoring the fact that Gears did the combat so much better, it just seems a little bit. I don't understand it. I understand you want to support. It's a shame it didn't do anywhere near as well as it should have done. It did terrible, and it didn't deserve that fate. But trying to sort of say that it's a masterpiece after the fact is a little bit misguided, I reckon. It's great, and I really enjoyed it, but I wouldn't. It's not at the top of the list of games that I go mental at someone. You have to play it, because at the end of the day, 90% of it is generic.
Yeah,
but it's still great.
Yeah, it is great. It was very good. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad I played it.
Me too.
And perhaps I need to not get so frustrated. Not frustrated, but I react a little bit to other people's reactions. I guess that's normal. And I mean, well, fucking hell, a lot of people are much more reactive than me. People who comment on YouTube and things like that. But sometimes maybe I just need to take things at face value a little bit more and not worry about what other people think. But we are what we are. In this life, binary domain, robots and that.
Jar Jar Gabor. Right, my number one is Rocksmith on the PS3. First of all, I will say, if you're going to get Rocksmith, don't have a break. Completely, that seems like.
Are you back to square one? Are you?
101. I'm not quite back to square one, but it's just you have to. They've done a superb job of making it as much of a video game as possible and appealing to gamers as much as possible, but it is designed to try and teach you how to play the guitar. It's I got back into it fairly quickly, but avoid breaks if you can. One thing that struck me, I was like, I can't believe there isn't a plectrum included in it. I mean, you can pick up a plectrum for like 20p, but the fact that it's not included, because at first it's fine, but I've just started doing double stops, which is two notes together, two strings together. Mm-hmm. And at first that's quite easy because it's always adjacent strings, but then when you start moving your fingers up, you need a spectrum. Spectrum. You really do need one. And in all the tutorials, there's a guy there with a plectrum, and sometimes he says, "Hold the plectrum like this," or the pick they call it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what it seems a bit inexplicable. But it's still incredibly impressive, and my response to it is different from when I first played it a month or two ago. In the system that it uses, so if you start playing really well, the difficulty gets really, really hard. It ramps up really quite fast.
Right.
And when you're starting out, that just means that you fuck up and you go straight back down again. So you're endlessly going up and down. But as you start learning all these new techniques and you start getting better at it, you start viewing it as a game. So I was like, I'm going to fucking beat this. I'm not going to, rather than it feeling like a guitar shooter who is being a cunt, it now feels like a game that's challenging me to step my game up. So that's really, really effective. What else was there? There's I've unlocked a few new mini games. I've just done tremolos, which is just, if you've held the guitar in your life, you've done one. That's just strumming one note repeatedly. And there's another very, very clever mini game where you move this ostrich. You move him along by strumming, and then you have to change strings to avoid obstacles and stuff. Again, you play it like a video game, but you don't think until after you've done it that you've started to get more and more accustomed to moving up and down the fret and stuff. Really clever. It's hard to know what to say. I think that the ideal person for this is somebody who's already learning to play the guitar.
Right.
Because from what I've read a lot about it online, and some people seem to say that it teaches you a lot of bad habits, and it's not very sort of vigilant about how you sort of hold things or how you, and it isn't specific about how you move your fingers. I mean, I was doing stuff holding it in the most ridiculously awkward fashion, and
right.
you know, obviously those are habits that you're not going to want to keep if you want to play the guitar. I don't have any interest in playing the guitar, but I'm amazed that, I mean, I can play a few things now, which is really impressive, and it is gripping me like a game now. But yeah, I mean, it's an impressive bit of kit. I can't believe they've done as good a job as they have.
Yeah, I'd really like it, because I started to learn the guitar when I was 18, and fucking 12 years on, I can strum a few bars here and there, know most of the chords, but I can't play the guitar.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's sort of pitched at exactly where I need to be able to take it. Basically, I either need someone who's a real person to teach me the rest of guitar, or this, if I'm ever going to get to the point where I can actually say that I can play it.
Yeah, I think it will work. I think because I don't have that hunger, I've never really been interested in learning to play guitar. I'm doing it because it's my job and because I want to progress in the game. But I think the people who will benefit the most, obviously, are people who want to learn the guitar, but people who are already learning it, say with they're not the only people who will get something out of it, but I think that's the ideal scenario, because then if there are bad things or sort of sloppy techniques habits that you end up picking up, someone's there to tell you not to do it. Maybe you'll learn to play the guitar with Rocksmith and you'll play it like a complete and utter weirdo, and people will think that's the most charming thing in the world, and you'll become the president, whatever. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Rocksmith is really impressive. It'll
make you the president.
Potentially a presidential maker. I don't know. It's good, very good. If you are looking at it with interest, get it.
The President Builder, Rocksmith.
Rocksmith President Edition.
I was going to say President Evil, but I'm glad I didn't. My number one is also a music-based game. It's Sound Shapes on the Vita. Have you heard of Sound Shapes?
But it's on the
Vita.
Remember?
Yeah, it's on the Vita. I think it was on PS3 as well. But yeah, it's designed for the Vita, clearly. Do you remember Everyday Shooter?
I never played it, but yes.
Yeah, it's by the same person that made that, and you can kind of tell it's right. I'm going to try my best to describe it as succinctly as possible, which is going to be difficult because I couldn't even say that. You're a ball. You're in 2D platform land. You can stick to light surfaces. You can't stick to dark surfaces. Red things in this world will kill you. When you're killed, you just get pop back to the latest checkpoint. There's normally about one checkpoint in every screen, and as you're rolling through the levels, it moves from screen to screen. How it works is you collect coins on these screens, and every time you collect a coin, it adds a new instrument or sound into the loop. The music is constantly looping. So you might pick up a snare or like a pew or something like that, and it starts to build songs as you play. And it kind of there's a synthesis between you're moving through the level and the song building. And at first, in the first few levels, it's fucking fantastic. It's like there's nothing. You've never really played anything like it, even though it is a platformer. The way it's building music is, it really, really appeals to me. So I love stuff like that anyway. But you can also kind of see through it and just see how it's building. Really, really clever. Unfortunately, it starts to let itself down after that in the campaign mode, because it starts to get really, really fiddly, and the platforming just isn't quite up to what it's wanting you to do. And even though when you die, you don't go back far at all, what it does do is every time you die, it will reset all the coins. So you've built up this nice track, and it's starting to crescendo, and then you die, and it will rewind you a little bit, and you've lost those layers in the track, if that makes any sense. So you can end up, it actually sort of creates a kind of cacophony as you're playing it. This sound it's actually really quite an unpleasant sound when you keep dying, which is a shame, because it's such a clever idea, and it's so genuinely well executed. It's got music by some of the music's done by them, and it's got music by Beck in it, and Deadmau5 or Deadmau5, whatever, and someone else as well, and some of the visuals. One of them, that Super Brothers game that people bang on about on the iPad. It's like really stylish 2D sort of pixel art game. One of the levels is done by them graphically, and on top of all of that, it has a full and complete level editor that is really, really easy to use. You use both touch screens, moving around with the front touchscreen, like pinching and pulling to decrease and increase the size of objects with the back one, and then you can make your own levels and upload them Little Big Planet style and download other people's instantly, and all that stuff's amazing. And obviously you're not just making levels, you're kind of writing music as well. So it's one of those games that you just want to love, but the execution's just a little bit off, and it really reminded me of Little Big Planet in that way, because Little Big Planet's such an amazing achievement, but ultimately it isn't actually that fun to play. And the most fun I had with it was when we played our Good Buddies levels, who was an amazing level maker, because they were based on stuff like Aliens, and they were full of gags, but the platforming sections aren't fun in that game, and much like that, the platforming isn't fun, and it ends up detracting from the overall experience quite a lot. But having said all that, if you've got a Vita and it's sitting there in the drawer like mine was, you probably want to go and invest in it when it comes out.
Is it a full price box game?
No. It's a downloady job. I don't know how much it costs, because as always we're bringing the knowledge, but yeah, it's not full price. Some people have gone. I gave it a 7 in my review on Video Gamer. I know The Verge have given it a 9. I could see how people would go more nuts for it than I have, but I like to temper my initial opinions when I see something this cool and start to actually break it down a little bit more and go, well, actually, there are sort of mechanical problems here which are hurting all the innovation and ambition. But I still dropped some 7 bomb on it.
It sounds good, but yeah, if I had a Vita and I was desperate to play it, you'd have to. It'd be a must buy.
Pretty much is, because just to fucking justify the expense that you've laid out for that very sexy machine that has no games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. That's it. That's game over. That is President Evil. That's the end. Thank you very much for listening. Next week is going to be... No, not next week. There's the week... Why am I even bothering to say it? In 2 weeks' time, there's going to be a great show, because John's going to have been at Gamescom and is going to have played all sorts of new shizzle. Next week's will be another shit one, but stick with us through that. Thank you very much for listening. Check out the website if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. Twitter, Facebook, social media, you know the deal. Thanks very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you. We're going Sizzler, and it's thefiniteplaylist.com. It's the website.
You got it.
Yeah. President Evil.
You should be able to fit through. Don't forget to breathe. It's an important aspect of life.
Yes, you. Box your stuff. Out the front door. Parking lot. Car. Goodbye.
The longest 10 minutes I think I've ever spent in a game. 10 minutes that I'm never going to get back, and I feel it just doesn't work. It's horrible. Don't even investigate it. It's horrible.
Still, at least it's got hose in it.
Hose. You said it, boy.
Number 9, Slender. I went back to it. Slender. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. This horror game.
It's on my list as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I went back to it and gave it another go, and I kind of worked out that the game crashing last time was actually my PC's fault rather than a deliberate design choice of the game, and managed to get a bit further, find a few more pieces of paper. I still think it's a little bit too obvious setup and then shock scare. I don't like that type of horror, really. It tends to be a bit more effective in a game because you're controlling it than it is in a film, where I just find it really cheap. But it's no doubt that it scares you, but then so does a fucking kid jumping out from round the corner if you're not expecting them. So I like the fact that there's all these games coming out that people are making, small teams or just on their own, and trying to push boundaries in different ways with gaming horror, because gaming horror has kind of died a little bit on the consoles. So it's such a powerful way to scare the fuck out of you, a video game. That I like the fact that these exist, but I didn't go as nuts for Slender as some.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Basically, I've played it 3 times and I've never seen anything. I've discovered a few of the same. I've discovered that blue truck. I've never discovered a
Where brevity is paramount. Jesus. That's it. I am done. I am not telling lies for a living any longer. I need a new job. Guys, please. If any of you out there are hiring, please don't hesitate to contact me on
Hello, and welcome to episode 25 of Chet and John's reassuringly finite gaming playlist. My name's John Denton. With me, as always, Chet Roivas.
Wapan.
So, if you've not heard the podcast before, quick breakdown. We do 2 top 10 lists. Starting at 10, game we played the least this week. Number 1, the game we played the most. We go back and forth. Some call them dueling playlists. I call them that. But enough wittering from me. Let's go. Number 10, Chet.
Okay, right. My number 10 is Winehead on the Xbox 360. It's another Xbox Live indie game.
You're becoming the preeminent source on XBleak.
It's just because I downloaded so many and I'm trying to clear them out. And Winehead's another one I downloaded because I like the title, because it reminded me of Manhead from Bowfinger. That is supposed to be Scientology, where they wear those paper hats. Anyway, Winehead, there's a story, there's a cat, he's the president, he bans wine, there's riots, people find out that they can make their own wine. A page, one of the pages you're supposed
to
collect. No. It's weird because people have been sort of talking about it as if it were a full game, and it's not. It's a nice idea, very, very well presented. And it's free, so if Google Slender Game, if you've got a PC or a Mac, I'm sure it'll run it. There's all sorts of different settings you can choose for how sort of low res and fast you want to run.
It doesn't take much grunt.
No, but I just you have to give it its due. I played it I played it in broad daylight with the sound down, because it does put you on edge straight away. It is just a sort of very tense game, and you have to give it its due. But It's the kind of thing that it's the way that it's spread sort of virally and by word of mouth, great. But it's getting to a point now where there's too much emphasis on it, and it's not. It never wanted that kind of attention.
Yeah.
It's tense, but I mean, 3 times I've spent 10 minutes plus each time just trudging along, not finding anything, going past the same trees. But it's tense. You have to give it its due, and if you have the means to play it, as most people do, go ahead.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out.
Yes, no doubt.
So it's you next, I think.
Yes, right? My number 8 is Zuma's Revenge on the Xbox 360. I think it's one of the summer XBLA games, part of that bundle. Or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's by fermenting it in the head of dead birds. You play as a corkscrew. You're this corkscrew bouncing around the screen, and you have to bounce like the default. If you don't press a button, you just float to the bottom. So pressing it, you go up. It's the only button is A. And you have to float next to a bird's head to make it anxious, and then you make a glass of wine. And then it goes on to the next level, and there's a biscuit in your way that you have to avoid. After about a minute, there's 3 biscuits on the screen, and they're impossible to avoid, so you die. And then a caption comes up saying everyone got so depressed because they couldn't drink wine that they started drinking medical alcohol like surgical spirit. Then there was a lightning strike, everyone got zapped by the lightning, and the entire human race was killed in a fire. All of this, that what I'm describing took about probably less than 2 minutes. So when it came up at the end, do you want another go? No thanks.
I feel like am I in a dream right now?
No, I'll tell you what. I've made it sound 10 times more interesting. You're a bouncing corkscrew. You have to float next to a bird. Next level, there's a biscuit in your way. Avoid the biscuit. I mean, honestly, it's really crap. But the fact that they're restricted to 10 minutes, as I've spoken about many times before, 10 minutes for the demo, I can't imagine anyone shedding out after that.
80 points?
80 points. I bet it's not made a penny apart from the guy's mum.
Winehead.
Yeah.
Winehead. So my number 10 technically isn't my number 10, but it's one of these frustrating situations. It actually would be my number 1. It's sleeping dogs. But this is one of those strict embargoes where you signed your name and it's the law. So I can't really talk about it at all. Really frustrating, but I just want to say that next week, full lowdown review style on the show. Yeah, I like it. I don't care if that breaks the embargo. I think I can say that.
Yeah.
And I've said that before. But yeah, frustrating. So for next week, for the full lowdown, boom.
Cool. Hopefully I'll have it by then as well.
Sweet.
Okay, my number 9 is Car Washer, Summer of the Ninja on the Xbox 360. It is yet another Xbox Live indie game, the last on the list though, so this is it. Story, you're a kid, it's the summer holidays, he wants to become a ninja, he has no money, so he decides to open up his own car wash. It's simple, a car pulls up, you can stand on one of 4 sides of the car, you can direct either a sponge or a hose at the car, or you can point, you can point it in any direction, but you have to obviously aim it at the car, and you wash the car. But there's no gauge to tell you how clean the car is. You don't know when it's finished, so you just move around each side of the car, hose, sponge, over and over again, and then after about 2 minutes, I mean, it's a long-winded process. You get an animation of the guy in his car beeping his horn and tapping his watch like, hurry up, and you're like, okay, well, you just keep doing what you're doing. In the end, he drives off, and he doesn't give you any money. And then the same thing happens again, by which point the demo's over. Do you want to pay? Go fuck yourself. It's the longest.